The Xbox Bethesda Showcase is right around the corner this weekend, and in today's video, I'm going to be giving my final predictions for Xbox's first party at this showcase, so let's get right into it. Alright, so first up, I want to do this like I do any other predictions video I make for these showcases. I want to start with what I think is absolutely, without a doubt, going to be at the showcase. And up first, I want to start with Avowed. I think that outside of the other two games that we will talk about next, this is the safest bet to show up at this showcase. It's rumored to have started development back in 2018, and 4 years later, I think it's a safe bet that Obsidian will be pulling out all the stops to show off their brand new AAA RPG. Set in the Pillars of Eternity universe, Avowed promises to be an Obsidianified take on Skyrim. And we've heard all sorts of things about this game. We've heard from Jez Corden of Windows Central around this time last year that based on gameplay footage that he had seen, Avowed looks quite a bit more colorful than it originally was in its official announcement trailer. He describes it as Outer Worlds meets Skyrim. And I don't know about you guys, but that sounds incredible to me. And actually, since we're already talking about Obsidian, I think it's appropriate to bring up some other Obsidian stuff as well. I mean, we all know that the next goal for Grounded is a 1.0 release, and I think there's a pretty good possibility that we get a look at that release during the showcase, or maybe even the Tuesday extended showcase. But there's one more Obsidian game that we're likely to see at the show, and that's Fallout New Vegas' director Josh Sawyer's new game, codenamed Pentiment. This game is said to be an investigative RPG, and much in the direction of a game like Disco Elysium, which received huge amounts of praise at its launch on PC back in 2019. I'm not even sure if it'll be my kind of game, but to be honest, anything from the mind of Josh Sawyer is worth a shot at the very least, and since it'll be launching at a Game Pass when it releases, it's a no-brainer for me. And up next, I want to talk about the big one, the one that everyone is going to be tuning in to see, and that of course is Starfield. Guys, I can't even begin to tell you how hyped I am for this game. If you followed the channel for any time at all, you guys know that I love my first-person RPGs, and Starfield is set to be one of the biggest RPGs of all time. And it's the first new Bethesda IP in over 20 years. I couldn't possibly be more excited for this game. And especially since there's still so much mystery surrounding this game. The only thing we really know about this game is that Todd Howard is quoted as saying that it's Skyrim in space. And if that's the case, and Bethesda can somehow marry the wonder and exploration of Skyrim with the setting and environments of something like Mass Effect, then I think it's pretty much a guaranteed hit. Honestly, I've got my fingers crossed for a slight improvement on Fallout 4's shooting mechanics, with a more RPG-esque experience like Skyrim or even Fallout 3 for that matter, but there's absolutely no doubt that Starfield will be at this show. The real question is that with the delay of the game, will we be seeing a deep dive of gameplay, or will we just be getting a quick trailer with some action and story background? I know for me personally, I've got my money on the quick trailer. That being said, I'd be ecstatic if we got one of those famous Todd Howard deep dives on the gameplay. And of course, since we're already speaking about delays, I think the second most obvious thing to be at this showcase is some sort of look at Redfall's gameplay. We know that the game is delayed into 2023, but I think we'll finally get an idea of how far along this game really is. I fully expect to see gameplay for Redfall at the showcase. Arcane is one of my favorite developers of all time, and to see them entering that sort of co-op multiplayer genre is exciting when you think about all the possible level design or player powers or different creative mechanics that you typically wouldn't find in any other games that are present in Arcane games. I know that another one of my favorite developers is also helping co-develop this game, and that's id Software, the creators of Doom Eternal, and that has me incredibly excited because pretty much any game that id touches has incredible gunplay. And considering that this is a first-person shooter, I cannot wait. But up next for a game I think is guaranteed to be seen at the show is Forza Motorsport. It's been about 2 years since we initially saw this game, and it's speculated that it'll be set to release later this fall, but I've got my fingers crossed that that's the case because I really do want a new simulation racer. But whether it launches this year or not, one thing is almost for certain, and that's the fact that this game will be at this showcase in some form or fashion. And this part is where we get into things that are kind of iffy, but I think have at least a shot at showing up at this show. And first up on this list is probably the studio that I'm most intrigued by at Xbox, and that's Compulsion Games. We've heard leaks nearly half a year ago at this point that their newest game, codenamed Project Midnight, is set to take place in a deep South fantasy setting and feature third-person action-adventure gameplay. I think this is a game that has the potential to be huge for Xbox. I've always said the Compulsion Games is incredibly creative, but it always felt like they've just never had the budget necessary to do the things they were trying to do. Well, now with the financial backing of Microsoft, they've got the money and the resources to get things done on a scale that simply wasn't possible for them before. I think there's a lot to be excited for from the studio in the future, and this game has the potential to be the beginning of it all. And this next one is something I considered putting in the first section of games, and that is a little update on Playground Games' Forza Horizon 5 DLC. We've seen leaks of a Forza Horizon 5 Hot Wheels DLC showing up on Steam for purchase. Of course, it was immediately removed from Steam, but it certainly seems like it's pointing towards receiving some news on Horizon at this week's showcase. And guys, I will be ecstatic if they show a Forza Horizon 5 Hot Wheels DLC. The Hot Wheels DLC for Forza Horizon 3 is still the best expansion in the series by a mile. It's basically its own game. The map is huge, the cars are crazy, and the visuals are off the charts on an Xbox One game even to this day. And stick with me now because I've got 3 more picks for this section of the video, and the first of those 3 picks is Ninja Theory. We know they've been hard at work on both Hellblade 2 and Project Mara, and there's definitely hype for both of those games, but the hype for Hellblade 2 is reaching new heights showing after showing. And after the gameplay demo shown at the Game Awards 2021, it's pretty important that if Ninja Theory are going to show up to this event, they've got to deliver the goods and one-up themselves. Because that initial gameplay demo looked insane. The visuals were off the chart, the animations looked incredibly fluid, it moved from cutscene to gameplay seamlessly. I'm hoping that if it shows up at this showcase, finally get a look at some of that more in-depth combat that we keep hearing about. And up next, I want to talk very quickly about inXile Entertainment. We know that they're hard at work on an FPS RPG set in a steampunk setting, and with a rich history of RPG genius over at the studio spanning all the way back to the original Fallout games, it's really easy to get excited for a AAA RPG from these folks. And then the final selection I have for this part is actually Machine Games. Now this is probably one of my favorite Xbox studios. The 2 main Wolfenstein games from the rebooted series are astounding and some of the best storytelling you'll ever see in an FPS game. And we've actually got a bit of news to support the theory that this studio will be showing up to the show this weekend. Because over on LinkedIn you'll find that Machine Games reposted a countdown to the Xbox Bethesda Showcase and said, quote, "We are excited for Sunday's showcase. We hope you are all ready for it." Now, does this guarantee a showing from Machine Games? Absolutely not, but it does raise my eyebrow a bit. Perhaps we could be getting a look at something Indiana Jones related, or maybe we get some news on Wolfenstein 3. Whatever the case may be, I'm almost positive that if Machine Games shows up, a lot of gamers are going to be satisfied with what they have for it. And finally, I want to end this video with a bold prediction that I have for the Xbox Showcase. And I'm just going to go out on a limb and try to speak this into existence, and that is Avowed, coming this holiday season. Listen, I'm almost positive it's not ready. I'm almost positive that it won't happen, but that won't stop me from hoping. I mean, it'd be such a perfect rebound story. You lose out on Starfield for 2022 and Avowed gets moved up in its place. Like I said, I don't think it'll happen, but I think that if there's any studio under Xbox's wing that would be able to move a game up in its release date, then it's Obsidian Entertainment. They're some of the most efficient developers under the Xbox Game Studios banner, and I've got my fingers crossed that my wish can come true. But that's really all I've got for today's video. But I want to know what you all think. What are your predictions for the showcase? Leave a comment below and let me know. Leave a like if you like the video, and please remember to hit that subscribe button and ring the bell if you're enjoying the content and want to stay up to date on all my latest videos. Thank you for watching, and I'll see you in the next video.
My favorite things about working on a great role-playing